Hi everyone, and welcome back to First the Coffee Crochet. In this tutorial we're going to go over how to make the Addison Kitchen Towel Pattern. This is a really easy to make towel. The only stitches you need to know how to do are the single crochet, half double crochet, and a slip stitch. So this pattern is written in US terms, and the initial chains at the start of the row do not count as a stitch. If you want to change the width of this towel, the initial foundation chain needs to be an odd number, and to change the height you would just adjust the amount of times that you do the repeat half double crochet stitch rows. Finished size is 18 inches long by 12 inches wide. So to make this towel you'll need about 200 yards in total of a number 4 medium weight cotton yarn. If you're wanting to use two colors like shown in the pictures, for the accent color, color A on the outside, you'll want about 55 yards. And for color B, the center color, you'll want about 145 yards. You'll also need a 5mm crochet hook. Stitch markers are optional. You'll want a yarn needle to weave in your ends and a pair of scissors. So when doing two colors in this pattern, our foundation chain in rows 1 through 6 will use color A, rows 7 through 31 will use color B, and rows 32 through 37 will use color A again. And as always, there is a written pattern available for this on my website, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start out, you'll want to take your first color, color A, which is our accent color on the outside, and you'll want to make your slip knot. And for our foundation chain, we're going to make a chain of 61. Now, it can be a good idea when doing your foundation chain to do your chains loosely because this is going to be the outside. If you're finding that you're having a hard time chaining them loosely, you can always go up a hook size and use a 5.5mm or a 6mm. And then once you start row 1, just switch back to your 5mm. Now, I am going to do a small sample size. I'm not doing the full 61 chains for this tutorial, but you should have a chain of 61 at this point. Now when working our first row, we're going to be working in the back loop of our foundation chain. So you have the front here where you see your stitches normally. When you turn them over, you'll see these little back bumps. Those are your back loops. And we're going to be starting in the second chain from the hook, so that's this one right here. And we're just going to be doing a row of single crochet stitches. So just in each chain all the way down, we're just going to do a single crochet. And to do that, you're just going to insert your hook into that loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. Just do that in each chain all the way down for row 1. Okay, so once you're at the end of row 1, for rows 2 through 5, that's where we're going to do an even moss stitch. So for these rows, at the beginning of each row, and again this is rows 2 through 5, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then starting in that first stitch, this chain won't count as a stitch, you're going to do a half double crochet. So you're just going to yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. That'll give you 3 loops on your hook, and you'll yarn over and pull through all 3. Then in the next stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch. So you're just going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and continue to pull that loop through the one that's on your hook. And that's what you're going to do all the way across. So in the next stitch, a half double crochet, and then follow that in the following stitch with a slip stitch. Just repeat that all the way across. 1 half double crochet, 1 slip stitch. Okay, and at the end of the row, your last stitch should be a slip stitch. So you just repeat that same thing up through row 5. So again, beginning, you just chain 1, turn, and then in that first stitch, half double crochet, and in the next stitch, a slip stitch. Just repeat that all the way across, and repeat the same row up through row 5. So you can go ahead and pause the video, and I'll meet you back here at the end of row 5. Okay, so once you're at the end of row 5, for the next row, row 6, we're just going to do single crochets back across. So to start out this row, we'll chain 1, we'll turn our work, and that won't count as a stitch. And starting in the first stitch, we're just going to do a single crochet, and we'll do a single crochet in the next stitch, and just continue that in each stitch all the way across for row 6. Okay, so when we're at the end of row 6, we're going to start our last single crochet of the row, but we're not going to finish this off if you're switching colors, because this is the point where we want to go to color B. That's our center color. So to do that, we're just going to cut our yarn and then grab our second color here. So you'll want to leave enough when you cut this off so you can weave this in with your yarn needle. And then we're going to take our second color. You don't have to tie this off or anything. You can secure this when you do your weaving in of your ends. So you'll just put that color over your hook and grab your other end here. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to keep everything on the hook. And we're just going to pull that up through to finish off that last single crochet of row 6. All right, so now we'll just continue on with row 7. In rows 7 through 31, we're going to be doing half double crochet stitches in each row all the way across. So to start out these rows, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then starting in that first stitch, because this won't count as a stitch, just going to do a half double crochet, and then just do a half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. And you'll repeat this all the way up through row 31. So if you're switching colors, at the end of row 31, don't finish off your last half double crochet stitch, because you'll switch the color just like we did at the beginning of this row back to our first color, this accent color here. Okay, so you can go ahead and pause the video and I'll meet you back here towards the end of row 31. Okay, so at the end of row 31, and again, I'm doing a smaller sample size, so you'll have a lot more rows than this. For your last stitch, if you're switching colors, you'll want to start it out just like you would a regular half double crochet, but don't finish it off. Stop here when you have the 3 loops on your hook. So go ahead and cut this off and leave a tail long enough so we can weave it in. And we'll go back to grabbing our accent color, color A, and we're just going to put that over our hook here, and that's what we're going to use to finish off our stitch. So we're just going to put it over our hook and then pull it through all 3 loops on our hook. Okay, so for row 32, what we'll be doing for this row is we're going to be doing single crochets all the way back across again. So you'll chain 1 to start out this row, turn your work, that won't count as a stitch. So starting in that first stitch there, we're just going to do a single crochet, and then just do a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. Okay, at the end of row 32, for rows 33 through 36, we're going to go back into doing the even moss stitch like we did down here. So for rows 33 through 36, you'll start off by chaining 1, turn your work, and then starting in that first stitch, you're going to do a half double crochet. In the next stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch, and then just repeat that all the way across. In your following stitch, do a half double crochet, and then in the one after that, slip stitch. And the last stitch of these rows should be a slip stitch. So you'll just repeat this all the way up through row 36. At the end of row 36, your last stitch should be a slip stitch. For row 37, this is going to be our final row, and it's just single crochets all the way back across. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and that won't count as a stitch. And then starting in this first stitch here, we're just going to do a single crochet. And then just do a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. And once you're done with this row, you can go ahead and fasten off and weave in your ends and enjoy your new dish towel.